Bill, how did you find Carnivore?
Carnivore for me has been a very, very long path over many years for me to get here. So it's probably going to be a long tail over the course of it, but we'll get to the explanation here eventually. So I have struggled with overweight and being overweight since 8 years old. I grew up in a household of a brother and father who to this day are both around 5'8", 170 pounds soaking wet and can eat anything they want without consequences. And in the genealogy pool, I pulled some recessed family genes, and I ended up being 6'4", and when I started my weight loss journey, 562 pounds. So I had recessed genes that came out somewhere in the work. But over the course of that, I started noticing probably early high school that I was gaining a lot more weight than the other students and everything else. And over the course of a few years going through school, I kind of slimmed down. When my height came up, I slimmed down. By the end of high school, I was actually a fairly balanced human being. And I think a huge part of where I ended up is actually, I think the career paths, number one, are a huge factor in how I got here. Numerous jobs over the years, each of them I'll go through and kind of explain how I think the weight got on and how it helped with that. But also, I'll put it out there simply, and I'm not going to hide from it. I love to eat. I can't help it. I've always been a sucker for savory foods and pizza and all this other stuff. And I've tried numerous diets over the years and whatever fad there is, and South Beaches and ketos and all this other stuff. And none of it really worked for me at all. So after school, I got into bartending. So the environment, number one, it's alcohol, fried food, everything you could ever think of, just nonstop, in and out every day. So I noticed through that, clothes size went up a little bit. I went from being a 1X up to a 2X and thought, it's fine. There's time. There's plenty of time. I can work it out down the road. I'm still young. And upon leaving bartending, I got into sales, which I thought was okay. This is fast paced. I'm going to be around a bunch of dudes. We're going to want to exercise and go to the gym. It's all going to sort itself out here. Well, it turns out traveling sales, you're driving around and sitting on your butt in a vehicle all day and going out and talking to customers, and you're on the road finding whatever cheap snack you can wherever you end up for the day. And then at the end of the night, I don't know if you've ever been around a pack of salesmen at the end of a successful day, but that is greasy restaurant, Mexican food, alcohol, just everything you can think of getting piled on you at once. And at the time, again, it was fantastic, but probably during that period, I watched that 2X creep up to a 3X. And same thing, I'm still young, early 20s, everything's fine, you know what I mean? We'll keep going. And then after getting out of sales, I probably got into the job that I think put me in this situation the worst, which was commercial driving. Now, I saw a couple interviews you've done. I know you've talked to commercial drivers in the past, and I've seen a lot of similarities in those interviews, but it is 13 to 15 hours a day sitting on your butt in that truck, and the most you do is shift some gears back and forth. And on top of that, as far as being a big dude and weighing so much, you're also up and down out of the vehicle, which basically you're climbing like a little 3-rung ladder to get in and out of these trucks because they're so big. And the wear and tear that starts doing on knees and hips and ankles and joints all over just the course of doing it, it ramps up and ramps up. And slowly over the course of that, I watched that 4X just appear on my clothes. And I said, oh my God, we're finally here. It's time to do something about it. And you know what I did? Nothing. I did absolutely nothing. I kept going the same course. It was around this time that I met my wife, and then 2 years later, tragedy actually happened. I got started getting really, really sick, and I had to leave trucking behind because I was having just brain fog, dizzy spells, extremely painful joints. And for 2 years, we had absolutely no idea what was going on. None whatsoever. I went through doctors and MRIs and CAT scans and infectious disease professionals up and down, and they just said, oh no, you're fine, it's anxiety, it's in your head, as my body's like falling apart in front of me. Well, it turns out we found a specialist around 2 years later. This is probably around 2014 or so, and I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. So where I live in the northeast of the United States, deer ticks are absolutely prevalent. They are just all over the place up here. The things are the size of a pinhead, and they can just jump on you and bite you real quick, and you get this big bullseye rash. And I actually never developed a rash, which turns out was a bad thing because I never knew I had it. Because when you get the infection, if you're treated early, you see the bullseye and go, whoop, Lyme's disease. You do 3 weeks of doxycycline. Excuse me. 3 weeks of doxycycline processes right out. You're fine. You may have some residual effects for a couple weeks. But since I never noticed, it kind of manifested as those symptoms early on, and then it kind of faded off as my immune system tackled it. Well, over the course of all these years of it sitting in my system, it just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And it turns out the primary thing that happened is it was attacking the cartilage in my joints, because the type of bacteria that causes Lyme is called a spirochete. So it's basically a little tiny corkscrew shaped bacteria. It can actually burrow into your cartilage, is the real danger of it. But this doctor we found, Dr. Clarence Mast, absolutely fantastic guy. He himself has been dealing with Lyme's for over 20 years. And he put me on rotating antibiotic therapy, and it cleared 90% of it out. The brain fog was gone, the heart palpitations, the overall just sheer anxiety and panic attacks daily, they were all clearing up. Everything was fantastic. The one thing that stuck around was joints. And they really said once it's in there, there's only so much that can be done, and hopefully your system will clear it out. But I could always feel something just over the course of the years in my joints. It's just this little weird feeling every now and then. It's like, that's weird, that's weird. But after that, I was able to return to trucking because I absolutely love the profession. I love throwing gears. I love 700 horsepower and 100,000 pounds behind me and going down crazy roads. And I loved every second of it. So I did return to that. And one fateful night, I went out and I got out of the truck for the night. And when I got out, if you picture this as my kneecap, I went to turn and walk the other direction. The top half of my knee went this way, and the bottom half stayed the exact same direction I was standing initially. So I suffered a full dislocation on my right knee. It turns out the outer meniscus, I guess that's the lateral side, completely hinged open, and the flap of cartilage came out. So scream, fall down, collapse, calamity going on. You get rushed to the hospital, and this is one I never really thought was going to happen, because when I get to the facility, the ER didn't take it seriously. There's like, oh, you're overweight. You're a big dude. You pulled something. The X-ray didn't show anything. Their MRI machine wasn't staffed for the night, so they didn't even give me the MRI scan. They sent me home, and it took weeks to get into an actual orthopedic department. And when I got into ortho, they did the MRI. They saw what happened, but same thing. You're a big dude. You're a big dude. You're overweight. Your joints are fried. I always thought orthopedics, there was going to be something there that was healing, that there was therapeutic, where we're going to work on your joints, we're going to rejuvenate them. Here's exercises and physical therapy. And one thing I have discovered in the past 10 years of my life being in and out of these facilities, they are utter chop shops. It is unbelievable how much they just want to either pump you full of cortisone or hydrogel, or just go in and do surgery and start cutting out pieces of meniscus, or go in and do replacements. Because you look at the replacement aspect. I mean, I don't know overseas, but US, you're talking 40, 50, $60,000 to get a joint replaced. So it almost becomes a money thing. But I couldn't believe how there was nothing there that was, we actually want to naturally try and heal your joint, and here's how we can go about it, and here's a process for it. And it utterly blew my mind that there was nothing about that. And it was probably around that time that I started looking into alternative diets and healing diets and elimination diets. And around that time, me and my wife started keto. It was our first attempt with it. And I think going from the level of carbs and sugar and everything else we were doing, it was so hard to get into. The cravings, the GI stuff. I've heard a lot of people say the GI as well. Just your bowels, everything is just screaming, oh my God, what is happening? So it was a really, really rough transition. I think we held on a few months and did that. And then going forward after that, once my knee healed up, I got back, I decided to do office work. So right into another position, just sitting in a chair all day and talking with other sales guys and logistics guys and doing that. And then the worst one that happened, I think, for everyone, COVID hit. 2020, and all of a sudden it went from being the guy sitting in an office chair to sitting in your house and ordering takeout food and whatever you want. And oh man, pizza sounds good for the fifth night this week. Let's just go ahead and do that. And that is the first 2 years of COVID is when things truly, truly got out of hand for me. That is when the 4X went to a 5X, and I started going, oh my God. And the injury that happened to my right knee, I started feeling, oh my God, it's starting to happen to the left knee. And it's still one of these things, you think any of these would be the catalyst where it's like, okay, this is it. This is the time. We're cracking down. We're doing it. And I dealt with so much depression, so much anxiety, that it just led me to keep eating and eating and eating. It was the only thing that kind of even made me feel anything at that point. So it was probably around early spring last year. My younger brother got betrothed to his bride. And I was so large at the time that I did not know if I was going to make it to the wedding or not. My entire family was up in the air, just, oh my God, we hope you can just make it. We'll get a special chair for you. You can sit off to the side or do whatever it is. So I made it. I remember me and my wife on the way to the wedding had to stop at a special clothing store to find clothes that would even fit me, that were somewhat professional looking, at least for a wedding. I mean, I'm out of the groom's party, all that, because I couldn't fit into the clothes. So I got there and we purchased 6X clothing, and I couldn't believe it. So we get down there and I'm like, you know what? It fits. I'm happy. It was a fantastic wedding. Everything goes great. At the end of it all, there was a picture. Excuse me. There's a picture of my brother, the bride, me, my wife, and her parents. And these 6X clothing that I had just bought, I looked down and the bottom of my stomach was hanging out the bottom of a 6X shirt. So it was after that, when I witnessed this picture, everything just went, there's no way. This has to end right now. And it was at that time I reached out for help to a weight loss clinic, a medical weight loss clinic. And I figured they were going to be the most diverse, dynamic, just have all the solutions sitting there and ready. So I go in and talk to them. They sized me up. They did the BIA scan, which is you hold on like the electric diodes. It gives you water weight, fat percentages, bone densities, your resting calories, which it turns out, lo and behold, over the course of this, here I am cursing, I'm bad metabolism or whatever else it could be. It turns out my resting metabolism is almost 3,000 calories a day. So my baseline's really good. It's not that terrible where you can't work with it. So initially they started, here's your generic diet. You're going to be low carb, low fat, low sugar. You're going to eat your fish and your boneless, skinless chicken, and everything was great. And I think over the course of the first couple of months, I went from 562 down to around 540. And at this point, they came and said, we're not seeing enough. We're not seeing enough. So we want to add a medical factor. They gave me the option, surgical route or prescription route. I'm not a fan of either, but I am absolutely not going the surgical route. I've seen too many things go wrong with that, and just losing a chunk of your stomach, to me, it doesn't sound like the way to go. I've also had numerous laparoscopic surgeries in the past. I did lose my gallbladder, so going into carnivore, that was an interesting one. I don't have a gallbladder, and nor do I have an appendix. I already lost both of those, so I'm pretty much down to one kidney at this point. I can lose that, and after that, it's all the good stuff that can't go. So upon that, I chose the prescription route, and they put me on a injectable drug called Wegovy, and it is a GLP-1. It's essentially, I think, the first spinoff that came after. What is the name of the one for diabetics?
So
Ozempic.
Ozempic?
Yep, Ozempic. It is Ozempic, and I know that because my wife was actually on that. My wife is type 2 diabetic. I am very, very lucky myself, and my A1Cs and blood sugars have always looked really, really good all throughout, even weighing as much as I weighed. Um, Even I think at the outskirts, before I tried carnivore, I was sitting post meal. I usually check my blood sugar frequently. I was around 105 to 107. So kind of flirting right on that line of what they say is pre-diabetes. So I was definitely flirting with it at a hole here. But this GLP, it is so hard to explain what they really do, because it's not just an appetite control. There's actually like mental factors to it. It is the weirdest thing. So I start taking the shot, and over the course of a few weeks, I'm like, okay, I'm not as hungry as I was. And actually, truly, I don't know if I felt hunger in years leading up to carnivore. I was just stuffing so much food in my face. It was just the mental hunger, just mental hunger. Oh, we can eat more. Yeah. Just keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. But I noticed that it was getting harder to eat as much as I could. And there were certain foods, there's certain things, just certain foods that all of a sudden the smell of it or the look of it, it's just, it all automatically becomes the most repulsive thing in the world to you. So on GLPs, for me, it was chicken. I've always been a big fan of chicken, loved it. And as soon as I started taking a GLP, it looked like the most disgusting food in the world. Couldn't look at it, couldn't smell it, couldn't eat it.
Kind of sounds like what women go through with morning sickness or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know? It's like suddenly those foods they liked before, it becomes horrible to them.
Becomes horrible, and they start eating even crazier stuff. They're dipping Oreos in ranch dressing or something like that. You know what I mean? And I think my mental addiction to food is actually so strong that I'm like, I kept thinking in the back of my mind, oh, this is fine. It's going to lower my appetite. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to eat less. I'm going to eat less. I actually out ate the GLP, and I went from 440 back up to 550 Went into the clinic, so they started scaling my doses up. Like, okay, we're gonna go stronger. And I think Wegovy, over the course of Wegovy, there is 5 separate doses. They scale up just ladder style as you go. You keep going up like 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, and you finally end up at like 10 milligrams, 12.5, something like that. And same thing. Over them really jacking up the injections, I said, okay, well, this has got to be it. This has got to be the solution. And they kept right to their same diet and the same plan, and you're low carb, low sugar, low fat, do all this. And it's like, I've never been able to stick to these diets. I know they're healthy. I know they're great. They work for a ton of people. But for me, it's just I always, at the end of it, I still go into a store and say, ooh, there's the donut aisle. Ooh, there's the bread aisle. There's the ice cream aisle. There's the chips. And it's like, it's so easy for me just to want to step out of the bounds of that diet. But again, I was successful on this GLP step up. I think I went from 550 back down to 511. I went in, it was clapping, and everyone's happy. And you get on your big scale, and they weigh you in, and they're like, "All right, everything's great. We'll schedule an appointment out for a few months." I out ate the highest dose of Wegovy that exists and went back up to almost 540 pounds again. So I knew at that point that something drastic had to happen, because as much as I thought it was going to be this diverse, dynamic environment at this weight loss clinic, with the injectables, the surgery, and basically the same diet they pitched the whole time, it's a one-stop shop. I figured there was going to be a lot more diverse, and they were going to work with you a lot more, and your dietitian's going to work with you a lot more. But it really just was that same one-stop shop where you have the accountability. Once a month, you go in and you see your life coach or your doctor, and they kind of go through all that. So again, we stepped up. They actually changed me. So we're just going to make it stronger. We're going to make it stronger. We're going to lock this thing in. We're going to make it great. So they moved me from Wegovy to Zepbound, which apparently these, I don't know what receptors these activate for you, but this one is a double receptor versus Wegovy is a single. So it's apparently just so strong. I got to the point on the Zepbound, they scaled me up in a matter of 4 months to the absolute highest dose there is. And it was the exact opposite. I couldn't eat. I had so little hunger on this GLP, and I'm still on that dose currently, even doing carnivore. And I think that's kind of why I'm losing so extremely much weight, is the combination of the two. But I cannot believe how strong these medications are. And I think overall they're fantastic things. I think if they work for people, I've seen tons of success stories. But for me, it's just they don't work. They don't work because the diet itself that you have to do after the fact, it's never worked for me. And I think early on, the first hint of carnivore I ever heard was a show called Parks and Recreation, probably a decade ago. There's a character called Ron Swanson, just burly outdoor man. He just walk in, I'll take all the bacon and eggs you have. So I thought it was just like this, outdoorsman comedy diet, and kind of laugh it off. And after we tried keto, we heard more about it after we failed that. And I kind of figured, okay, it's the meathead gym diet. The guys that are in there with lift heavy rock, make sad, head voice go quiet. And I never thought it was something for me. But the biggest thing I did is I decided I needed more accountability in my life, because this once a month, go in, go home, do whatever you want, do what we tell you, and come back and we'll put you on a scale once a month. It wasn't enough. And that's when I decided to make an appearance into YouTube and making videos, because that way, if I'm weighing myself twice a week, I'm putting myself on camera, I'm going to have so much accountability that, oh my God, there's going to be people I can't let down on a daily basis. So that was the first step. And still, for the first couple of weeks, I started everything at 532 pounds, and I stuck with the GLP and the normal diet they had me on. And I got down to 513, and I said, woohoo, just another one, celebratory dance. Look how good we're doing. Make a video on it. And then a week later, 525. I said, oop, let's celebrate. Outate the GLP again. Went back, said, oh, it's fine. I can go eat pizza for 4 days straight, or do this, do that. And I couldn't believe it. So it was at this point I was spending time on X and YouTube, and I started looking into diets, and I found the carnivore diet group on X. And I started looking into it and saw, just reading through the posts and all the testimonials of just a lot of people not in my bad of a weight situation, but people dealing with the joint issues, the food cravings, the food addiction, and seeing their before and afters and turnarounds. And oh my God, I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, you know what? This seems like this actually might be something sustainable for me, because steak, I'm sold. Eggs, I'm sold. It's got everything great piled into it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try it out. So me and my wife did a big grocery haul. We got like a month's worth of carnivore groceries and said, this is it. We don't get takeout. We don't go out to eat. We don't do anything. This is all we're doing for a month. The first week of carnivore, I lost 13.2 pounds. I could not believe it. Could not believe it. And I've never been that satiated in my life. And to the point where it's like, oh my God, I'm actually full. I don't want to think about carbs or sugar or go out and think about other stuff. So the first week was already just an eye opener. I said, oh my God, this is fantastic. And you see more and more testimonies about coming off of medications, because currently I am on 13 different medications right now. And I would like to get rid of as many as I can. I don't know if I'm going to be able to or not. The one beautiful thing we have been doing is I have a logbook, and every night right now we track my pulse oxygen, my heart rate, my blood pressure, my blood sugar. We do just little tests on everything, and then every 4 weeks I do a BIA scan again for my body mass index. And actually, I think it's 2 more weeks until I have the one for my first month of carnivore. And super excited about that. But my O2, my heart rate, and especially my blood sugar. That blood sugar we talked about that sat that 105 to 107 level, my average over the last 4 weeks is 84 on my blood sugar. So it brought it down and regulated that much in 4 weeks, which actually yesterday was just the end of my 1 month carnivore. It was the 30-day mark yesterday. I just got done. And it's been absolutely amazing. And it just keeps getting better every day. I think one of the big benefits of the weight loss clinic itself is, since I was low sugar, low carb, low fat, it was a very, very easy transition to just slide into the carnivore from there. And I didn't have the carb cravings I did on keto when I started. I didn't have the sugar cravings, but a cheeky bowl of ice cream sounds good. Like, none of that. It was just, I want meat and that's it. And it's been fantastic. The 2 weeks after that, I don't know if I have exact logs of what I lost, but on the 30-day mark of carnivore, I am down 44.4 pounds in the last 30 days. And one of my big concerns, I guess, is since I'm still on the GLP-1 right now, and it's such a strong one, I'm concerned I'm actually not getting enough calories a day right now. I was sitting around the 1,000 mark, and I've brought it up the last week. I was scared to bring it up because I'm losing so much. I'm like, oh my God, it's working. It's finally working. I got under the 500-pound mark for the first time in like 4 years. Like, I don't want to bring the calories up. I'm afraid. I don't want this to change. I don't want to revert back. This week, I brought my calories up between 700 to 800 a day, and I had one of my biggest weeks yet. I was like 9.5 pounds this week, with almost doubling my caloric intake. So, and the fat numbers too. It's so weird because you're so used to these fat numbers, where I go to a dietitian at a weight loss clinic who's saying fat is your enemy. You need to get rid of it and keep it under 20 grams a day. And here I am, all of a sudden, if I look at my logbook, I probably had 125 grams of fat in my meals yesterday. I feel fantastic. I mean, my brain fog's clearing up. One of the biggest things I'm still dealing with is the joints, sadly. Joints are really, really bad, but almost every other facet of my health, I'm seeing improvements. I've always had, I don't have bad teeth, but gums. My gums are starting to feel better, which is just weird. I always had like this weird thing in the back of my mouth. It's like clearing up. I'm stuck wearing a CPAP machine. I would get really, really bad facial breakouts, just where the mask sits and everything else. My skin would be red and irritated. That has almost cleared up in 4 weeks. It hasn't come back one time. So I have truly, truly found something amazing here. And it just gets easier as it goes, I think, is the craziest part. It's one of those things you think, usually the further I get into every other diet, it was, oh my God, just let me go eat some other stuff. When does the diet end? And you realize at a certain point that diets don't end. You find something that works for you, and it has to be sustainable, because there's no woohoo, I hit my final weight goal. Well, guess what? Now you got to maintain the final weight goal. So I think this is truly it. And it's been going really, really good. But just the more I notice and the more that keeps changing, just the muscle aches, my sleep has improved. I wake up every day. It used to be just the groggy sludge out of bed. I would wake up and it would be sit on the edge of the bed for 10 minutes, just going, oh, who am I? Where am I? What's going on? And now it's after 4 weeks of carnivore. I get right up, and like my joints hurt still and everything else, but I'm up and at 'em. I stand right up, like, what's on the docket? What are we doing today? Let's look at the list. Let's plan some stuff. So the changes that are occurring are just unbelievable. I really, really can't believe how much it's changed for me. The things I'm looking at right now is, I go back in 2 weeks. I really want to start staggering off of this GLP-1. It is so, so strong. It also comes with adherent thyroid risks, because the way your body absorbs the medication. And even though I have a family history of thyroid too, I have a father who's hypo, a mother who had cancer, a grandma who is hypo. I think there's hyper and hypo are the two main ones that people deal with hormonally. And mine's essentially a ticking time bomb. They keep on top of it. We do regular blood work, but why would I want to keep taking a medication that's going to be targeting something that I already know I'm probably going to have super high odds of having a health risk with in the future here? But it's just been amazing. And 44 pounds, it's 44.4 in the last month, and overall in probably the last 6 months, 81.4 pounds I am down right now. Now, there's still a very long road to go. As of my weigh-in yesterday, I was 480.6. So my journey is a long way from being done. I still have over 200 pounds to go. But it's been amazing. And it's just like some of the stuff you don't realize. I was actually, your interview yesterday, the one with Hal Cranmer, I was watching that. And what he was saying about the people in the nursing homes, how he couldn't get them to go on a specific diet. And then all of a sudden you get them on carnivore. Like, oh, no. We don't want anything else if you try to change it up again. It like just gets in you and you want to stay with it and you want to do it and you're full. And it's even a mental thing too, because we ran out of meat the other night. I'm like, okay, well, let's go down to the grocery store. We'll find a steak or some shrimp or some fresh fish. We'll do something. And as soon as you go in, you know how they have the store set up. Whoop, right into the ice cream, right into the sweets. Here's the bread aisle, and there's the fresh meat all the way in the back corner. So usually I'd walk through these aisles and it would just be the little cravings nipping at you like, ooh, look at that. That looks good. This looks that. This is the first time I've walked through a whole store to the meat section and not even looked at anything once and went, oh, I want that. Not one. There's nothing in that store that really did it. And it blew my mind. It blew my mind.
It's a
And
really good sign.
it is. It is. It's so weird. I'm not used to being satiated. I'm not used to eating to a point where the next day I actually feel hunger. I'm not used to it. Like actual down to earth, stomach grumbling hunger, which I don't think is something I experienced for over a decade because it was just mental. It was just, oh, I want to eat. I love to eat. Give me the sugar. Give me the carbs. Give me this. Give me that. And it's like going into a feeling where it's like, wait, I'm actually hungry right now. And I realize I'm hungry. And then I make this huge plate of dinner and I'll go, okay, this is it. And I'll even get halfway through it sometimes and go, oh my God, I'm full. Like I actually realize I'm full. I can pack it up and save the rest for later. And that's kind of, I know a lot of people do a lot of fasting stuff. I haven't gone super hard with that. With the GLP, it's almost a forced fast because my appetite is so low that it's usually around 18 to 24 hours. I'll break the fast mark and kind of go from there. But like I said, I don't think I was getting enough calories for a while there. I really don't think I was. So trying to bring that up is another big one. The other huge one I truly have more hopes for is my joints. I had a knee injury yesterday. I went and got x-rayed and everything. Looked okay on the x-ray. We're kind of waiting for an MRI and light duty in the meantime. But if I could get any form of healing on my joints, I would be just amazed because that is the biggest thing that's holding me back right now is no matter what, it's like I go to the gym, I work out, and it's like every muscle in my body is like, why have you not been doing this? Give us more, give us more, give us more. And my lungs are screaming at me, more air, more air. We love it. Keep going. And then all of a sudden you feel a pinch in your joint. And it's like you realize your whole structure is saying, nope, we're done for the day. So if I can get some healing there, and by the way, with joints, when I did find your channel, I looked through the shorts there and I saw you spring loaded jump off the stairs in that one video you did. And oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I don't know if I'll ever be there again, but oh my God, just going up and down stairs without pain would be phenomenal.
There's nothing quite as horrible as joint pain because no one can
Truly.
see the problem,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's just you're silently suffering on your own with that, right? It's
Yeah.
like if you've got a weight problem, if you've got um some kind of outwardly facing problem, then
Mm-hmm.
people can kind of, it, you kind of you're sharing the kind of the misery you're going through. But when
Mm-hmm.
it's joint pain, it's just like you're just suffering on your own, taking
Yeah.
one step at a time or
Mm-hmm.
lifting that box or whatever it is.
That's it. And people just they don't realize, and it's so hard to convey what you're actually going through because on the outside you look so normal that no one can really conceive it. And everyone's had, I mean, broken bones and stuff like that, so they can understand to a degree, but they don't. they don't understand the feeling of walking and feeling your knee hinge like this, like the side wants to dislocate. And it's like, oh my God, or just, oh, we've been walking around for 20 minutes. I have to sit down for a little bit and rest. And it's so hard to convey that to people. And I found one of the hardest groups to convey it to is the actual orthopedic doctors that are supposed to help with this, because if they don't see it on their scan, I mean, I went in yesterday and they started jerking your leg around, like, oh, it hurts here, and they grab your leg and start swinging the thing around. Oh, does this hurt? Does this hurt? I'm like, oh my God, stop. So it's not easy for them either, because if they can't see it on a scan or whatever their little maneuver is to move you around, if they don't feel the pain there, and it's like, well, I don't know, we'll put you in for another scan, and if that shows nothing, we'll keep pumping you full of injections and hope for the best. I'm like, well, I mean, it's like outer meniscus. There's blood flow. Is there ways to like heal it and stuff? Oh no, nothing down there is going to heal for you. It's all just going to end up in a knee replacement years down the road. And it feels like such a chop shop. It really does.
Yeah, it's almost like the medical system has got to the point where it's like when people come in, it's, you know, if they're suffering from diabetes or they're
Mm-hmm.
overweight or they've got some chronic condition, it's just like the medical system is set to bring you in at that point and just
Yeah.
continue carrying you on, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, it's like you look at it and it's just one slippery slope the whole way down. Is just the cheapest, most affordable food out there is some of the worst stuff you can get in the States. I mean, if you're on a severe food budget, I mean, luckily meat is cheap, so if you do decide the carnivore route, you're good. But if you want actual quality vegetables or fruits or actual super quality meat like the farm fresh, grass fed stuff like that, you're going to be spending so much money that it's almost not sustainable for people. Whereas your loaves of bread, your boxes of macaroni and cheese, your boxes of pasta are all 99 cents for a couple pounds of it. And it's so easy. So number one, if you're on a budget, you're starting to go into that slope by just eating carbs and sugar and carbs and sugar. And by the time it starts getting too late, boom, you're into the medical system. Then the pharmaceutical system has you because all the representatives are there like, oh, this is going to fix this and this and this. And by the way, here's the list of side effects, which the side effects then can also lead to even more medications. And that's the one that's always blown my mind, because I've always dealt with, stemming from my weight for the most part, I think depression, anxiety, and those type of medications are scary, scary stuff. You start talking the SSRIs and benzos and stuff like that, and how much they actually mess with your brain. It's like, okay, well, you're depressed, you're sad, are you suicidal? I go, no, absolutely not. They're like, okay, well, here's this medication. If you start to become suicidal, call us back. Wait a minute. You're giving, I thought this was supposed to help with depression. Like, well, it could make depression worse.
Yeah, it's it's crazy.
Mhm.
It's like a Monty Python film or something.
It really
It's
is.
um so at this stage, are you on depression meds at the moment?
I still am. I take around 13 medications a day. If you ask me for the names, I couldn't even pronounce them to save my life. My wife is actually a medical nurse, so she makes fun of me all the time for not being able to pronounce this stuff. But I think 4 of my 12 medications are depression and anxiety. And I'll tell you what, no matter what they kept putting into me, none of it worked. It was still just, at the end of the day, like you're saying with your joints, no one can see the suffering. Okay, you're giving me drugs to make me slightly happier, but nothing's helping my joints, nothing's helping my body. The root cause of the depression and anxiety is still here, still staring me in the face. So I think over the course of carnivore, just the last 4 weeks, I can tell just in conversations in public how much more I'm going back out and seeing people, because one of the biggest registers for obesity and dealing with bad joints and stuff that not a lot of people see, they see the, oh, you're not going to fit in the seat. Oh, you're going to have a hard time going upstairs. They don't realize the true travesties of it, of the life events you miss, the family events, the people you can't get out and see when you're in so much pain and so overweight that you're just stuck in your house. I mean, I've missed weddings, I've missed anniversaries, celebrations, holidays, family holidays. And you miss all these things. And that is like probably the biggest driving force for me right now, is to be able to get back out into the world and see friends, see family, let them know I'm still there, because I've ruined friendships over being fat, being to the point where I skip so many life events for these people that they figure, oh, maybe he doesn't actually like me. He doesn't want to come. And you're sitting at home overweight with knee pain and going, no, that's not it. And it's so hard to convey to people. It really is.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Mhm.
And yeah, I can see how that happens, you know, because
Yeah.
something like your weight, or it could be a sickness, or it could be
Mhm.
something that's happening in your life gets in the way of a friendship enough times,
Mhm.
and then people just go, "Oh, yeah, I'm just gonna stop inviting them out
Yeah.
because obviously they don't like me anymore," or something.
That's it, and that's how they take it. And it's like that's a side that not a lot of people sees of being super overweight and having joint damage and all that stuff. And everyone kind of sees the service value stuff like, oh, you're hideous to look at, or you don't fit in chairs, you can't go upstairs, you're breathing too heavy. Like, no, there's so much more than that. There really is, and it's one of those things. It's a snowball effect because once it starts and you let that thing run away, next thing you know, you're that supersized avalanche coming downhill and trying to turn that around. That's where I am right now, and it's a fight. It really is
Mm.
a fight.
So at this stage, your appetite is kind of suppressed because of the GLP-1, but,
Mm-hmm.
like, are you eating just 1 meal a day at the moment?
I was, for the most part, I'm doing one meal a day right now. I am trying to cycle in a second meal. So when I wake up in the morning, usually within the first hour or two, I'll generally do like a couple pieces of bacon, maybe some eggs. I was doing like some cottage cheese or something like that, but I am, excuse me, I am experimenting right now with dairy because although dairy fits into the diet, it can also be inflammatory. So I think I'm actually edging closer and closer to doing the full lion diet, if not for anything else, just full elimination, because I'd like to find out exactly what my triggers are for the inflammation in the joints, because there's certain things I can feel fine for like 3 days. I can be out walking around in the backyard or swimming in the pool 3 days a week. Then all of a sudden, if I'm not logging my foods, I have one wrong thing. Then it's all of a sudden I'm in bed and it's like I'm waking up in the morning trying to like unsqueeze my hands from the arthritis. So if I can eliminate as much as possible, I think sadly dairy probably was one of those triggers for me. But we're gonna find out in the next couple of weeks here.
And what is your plan over the coming months as far as meds and the GLP-1?
As far as the GLP-1 specifically, I go back to see the weight loss doctor in 2 weeks. That's also when I'll have my next BIA scan so I can make sure I'm not losing muscle mass. I can see how much water I'm losing, how much fat. It's not a medication you just want to drop. You can't just drop it and stop taking it flat out. There's too many side effects. It's tied into too much stuff. So what they're going to have to do is start scaling me back. So I believe I'm at 12.5 milligrams right now. So when I go in this time, I'll go back down to either a 10 or a 7.5 milligram, and I'll do that for 4 weeks. And then after that, I'll probably scale down to like the 2.5 and do that for 4 weeks. Then hopefully at that point, I should just be able to get rid of the whole thing. Um, as far as depression, anxiety stuff, I'm actually working with a therapist right now, which I think is the biggest thing. That combined with the carnivore and just how much more upbeat and social and happier I've been overall, I think it's another one where you just don't want to. There's so many mental things tied into it. You just don't want to cold turkey stop taking drugs like that. So it's another thing. We'll probably start scaling those back and rolling them back. And the other stuff is hopefully just starts coming with the carnivore. Blood pressure. I think two of them are blood pressure. GI. I've always had acid reflux and stuff like that. That's also slowly diminishing. I already feel a huge difference there. I still get it at night, but not near as bad. I think that could also be because of the CPAP, just the way it's forcing oxygen in and out, in and out, in and out. It just dries your throat out so bad. It could be related to that too. But I think overall, the plan is to just scale back as much as we can. I wish I could flip a switch and just be gone. But there's too many risks. There's so many side effects taking them, but there's also scary things that could happen if you just cold turkey stop.
The important thing, though, is that you feel like there's light at the end of the tunnel now,
I
right?
do. I do truly, truly for the first time in a very long time too. First
Mm.
time in a very long time. Because everything else, it just felt like I was saying before, it felt like, ooh, I do the diet, I do the diet. When's the diet end? When's the diet end? When do I get my cheat day? When do I get my cheat day? Well, cheat day now is my steak every other 2 days. You know what I mean? Steak smothered in butter. And I'm cycling a lot of different stuff. I'm not doing just beef or anything. I'm doing a lot of fish, a lot of shrimp, a lot of seafood right now. I'm kind of just cycling through everything and seeing how it all makes me feel. But I think the biggest thing as far as getting rid of the medication too is the same with the elimination, is going full lion for a while. And that is the strategy probably coming up in 2 weeks. We're waiting for money and everything else. We can do a big grocery haul and stock up and be ready for lion, because I think that was a huge success factor too. Was me and my wife, instead of just doing the takeout or, oh, we'll get food every couple days or something, we went out and did just a massive 1 month grocery haul. We came home and identified everything, split it up, packaged it, froze it, had it all ready, had a plan going forward. And I think just that alone made it so easy. Instead of sitting there at 4 o'clock, like, oh, what am I eating tonight? It's the night before, like, oh, okay, so we're doing haddock tomorrow. So pull that out of the freezer, thaw it out, and you're good to go. And that was huge. Just the prep itself. Not that there's much prep involved in the cooking or pre-cooking or any of that stuff, but just knowing what you're doing ahead of time is absolutely massive for success. I really think it is.
Yeah, definitely. How do you think the weight loss clinic will react when you go back to see them?
I'm curious to see because this is going to be my first visit back since starting Carnivore. And I did tell her on my last visit that I was going to begin Carnivore, and she was okay with it. She said, well, keep within your calorie band that we've set for you and try it out. And she said the first thing, she's like, we're going to do a lipid panel right now. She's like, I want to look at everything going on blood work wise. I want your A1C. I want to know what's going on, everything else, and look at that. So we got a good look there. And I was a little high on a couple things, but I'm curious. We're going to do more. It's actually the one problem is it's too early to do more blood work. She said she wants to wait to the 3 month mark, so we'll know more on the blood work there. But when I go in and they see that I'm down 44 pounds since the last time I've been there, and actually it's 2 weeks out, I could be down over 50 by the time I get there. So I think their jaws are going to hit the floor weight wise. I think my dietitian's probably going to be a little scared still. She's like just a little one, like, oh, stay away from fats, stay away from fats. I'm going to show her my food log. She's going to go, huh? So I'm curious. Like I said, I'm really excited to go the next time and get the BIA, especially on muscle mass. I guess that is my one concern right now. Am I losing muscle? Am I losing fat? I know a ton of water weight's coming off, but muscle to fat ratio, I'm really curious to see on that. But hopefully it's going to be a celebration. We'll see.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Um, so, Bill, I'd really like it if you would be able to visit again in maybe 3
Yeah.
months and let us know how things are going.
I think that would be absolutely perfect because right around that time I should have the blood work. I'll have in that period 2 BIA scans, so we'll have a whole bunch of documentation to look at as well. And maybe if you want to even throw it up, I can send paperwork over to you beforehand, and we can just review and just. I think we got this at an awesome stage where I'm early enough in Carnivore that we're going to get a really really good look at what happens over the course of the first 6 months.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Mhm.
So in the meantime, how
Mhm.
can people find your YouTube channel?
So I am the high calorie human. I primarily am on YouTube and X at high cal human. I do have a small presence on Instagram and TikTok as well. I am high calorie human underscore there. And we just have a lot of fun. We do some live streams. We do a lot of weight loss videos, and it's just kind of overall tracking my loss and how everything's going and how I got here. And it has been absolutely fantastic. I kind of thought putting myself out there like that I was going to get all sorts of mean feedback, and I had no idea going in. And I cannot believe the amount of positivity and kind reception I've had since starting this channel. And also people reaching out to me saying, hey, I'm getting close to your shoes. I decided it's my time to start. And just the fact that I had one person say, hey, it's my time to start, that's an absolute win for me. So feel free to reach out to me there. Off those channels, you can find me for the live streams and everything else.
Awesome. I'll link to all of those in the show notes. Bill, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate your
Absolutely.
time.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Back anytime.